Is it on? Is it on? Okay, I think it's on. I will speak loudly so you can all hear. I'm Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart and The Lonesome Clown. Not the Lonesome Clown. I'm the Lonesome Clown. The Lonesome Crown. All published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today I'm going to be reviewing one of my favorite books of all time, Mystic River by Dennis Lehane. Mystery novel set in Boston, Massachusetts. That's why I wore my Salem, Massachusetts shirt. It's the closest thing I got to Boston. I mean, God knows I'm not going to wear a Patriots jersey. I mean, I'm not an idiot. Well, I am an idiot, but I'm not going to wear a Patriots jersey. I'm going to tell you right now. I already introduced this as one of my favorite novels of all time. I think this is the greatest mystery novel ever written, bar none. And just so happens, I met Dennis Lehane. I've met the man. I met the main man. And he signed my book to me. Not only did he sign my Mystic River book to me, but he signed my Gone Baby Gone book, my The Drop book, my Shutter Island book. You've all seen Shutter Island with Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, and he signed my Gone Baby Gone, you can see the signature, my Gone Baby Gone DVD. The man signed my Shutter Island DVD. The man signed my Mystic River DVD. You can see the signature there. Mystic River, by the way, if you don't want to read the book, but I don't know why the hell you wouldn't want to read the book. But if you don't want to read the book, you can always watch the movie Mystic River, directed by Clint Eastwood, starring Sean Penn, Tim Robbins, Kevin Bacon, and a whole host of great actors and actresses. I mean, the guy that plays Harry Bosch is even in this. And of course, The Drop, he signed that, our James Gandolfini. And I'm going to review all of these books. I'm going to review them all. Probably saw my review of Dennis Lehane's A Drink Before the War. Well, now we're going to be doing Mystic River. And, the cover is cool. I remember when this came out in 2001. I was already a huge Dennis Lehane fan. I'd already followed his Kenzie and Gennaro mysteries all through the 90s. I loved him. He was my favorite mystery writer already. And then he came out with this standalone novel, Mystic River. Yeah, it's not part of a series, so you don't have to worry about that. If you don't want to get involved in a series, Mystic River is a great place to start with Dennis Lehane because I've already told you, it's the greatest mystery novel ever written. And that can't be argued. It's a standalone novel, so it's not part of a series, so you can just read it and it alone. Came out in 2001 after I'd already been a fan of the guy, and oh my gosh, this is the book. I mean, the Kenzie and Gennaro series was pretty well established. Dennis Lehane is one of the greatest mystery writers of all time. But then he came out with this, and it was a mega hit. It was a mega hit, one of the best-selling novels of 2001. Well-deserved. Oh my gosh, what is it even about? It starts out with 3 young boys playing baseball in the streets of Boston. Sean, Jimmy, and Dave. A car pulls up. It looks like a cop car. The police are pissed off at the boys for playing in the street. And they take Dave with them under the ruse that he's under arrest. Or they're going to go tell his parents or something like that. These cops take him. Well, they weren't cops. They were child molesters. They take Dave off into a secluded place. And, and that's how it starts with these 3 boys. This traumatic event that happens to these 3 boys when they're young. And then that's the first prologue. And then first chapter 1, we jump to when these guys are grown men in their 30s. And now Dave, the kidnapped boy, he ended up escaping. He ended up escaping the kidnappers, but not till after the damage was done. And so he's kind of a messed up dude. But he does have a wife and a kid of his own. And he's trying to make the best of life. And he's just a really, really decent guy, just with a really dark past. And then Jimmy turns into kind of a, one of the boys, he turns into kind of an ex-con. He's kind of in trouble a lot. He's a criminal. He's involved with the mob and the mafia. He's kind of higher up in that scene where he has a lot of pull in the neighborhood just through criminal elements. And then Sean is the detective. He grows up to become a homicide detective. Now, if you've watched the movie, Jimmy, Dave, Dave, the boy that gets kidnapped, is played by Tim Robbins as a grown-up. Jimmy, the mafia guy, is played by Sean Penn as a grown-up. And then Sean, the detective, is played by Kevin Bacon as a grown-up. And so what happens is now they're all grown up, and Jimmy, the ex-con, the mafia guy, has a family. They all have families. But Jimmy's family, he's really close to his family. He's, you know how the mafia is there. It's all about family. Well, his daughter ends up getting murdered. And it's horrible. It's horrible. And Sean is the homicide detective assigned to solve that murder. So now Sean has to go through the neighborhood that they grew up in and, try to solve this murder. And it looks like maybe Dave, the poor kid that got kidnapped as a kid, all signs point to that he is possibly the murderer. So now Sean has to investigate this murder that's intertwined with this horrible tragedy that happened when they were children, and how they've grown up as adults to become three individually way different people. And he's trying to solve the murder his way. Meanwhile, Jimmy, the ex-con, the mafia guy, he wants to solve the murder of his daughter in his own way, which is the mafia way, which is the ex-con way, which is like, let's go kick some ass way. And then Dave is kind of caught in the middle as the guy that everybody suspects. And they suspect him specifically because of the nature of the murder compared to the nature of how Jimmy was kidnapped as a young child. And that's the basic premise of the plot. And I won't give anything more away if you have not read the book. But oh my God, I have never read a mystery novel that put so much detail and attention to building up of characters and the interplay between characters and just these three men have grown up in such different ways, and how that incident when they were children, when one young boy got kidnapped, just how that just boils and boils and boils and boils to a head between all three characters, to just absolute twists and turns and tragedy and heartbreak and all of that. It just, I was just riveted to the book. It's a book that I've read probably 10 times since. I've watched the movie over and over, and the movie, my God, the movie follows the book note for note, which is rare. And Clint Eastwood did a magnificent job of directing this thing. I mean, if you want to read a book and watch a movie that are absolute perfection, you should read Mystic River and then watch the movie Mystic River, because you're just going to be astonished at how awesome and great these things are. And it was a thrill for me, because Dennis Lehane's one of my favorite authors. It was a thrill for me when I finally got to meet him and have him sign my collection of all of my Dennis Lehane swag. And so I just can't pimp this novel out enough. It's just super hot. It's just super great, super atmospheric, teaches you a lot about the Boston underworld, about Boston police, about how the Boston criminal element intermingles with the Boston Police Department, and how, and my gosh, that's every Dennis Lehane novel is like that. They're all just so steeped and rich in New England history and Boston noir. I love it. I just absolutely love it. I can't recommend this enough. This, to me, is almost one of those novels that I wished I'd written that's just absolutely perfect. Every scene, every word, every bit of dialogue is choice. And it just takes you to that place where you're so immersed in the story and the characters and the mystery and the plot, and you know things are not going to turn out how you think they will, and they won't. Trust me. You will not see any of the twists and turns in this, which is one of the brilliant things about it. And it's one of the reasons we love reading. This book here is just exhibit A of why we love reading books. 10 out of 10. If I could give it a higher score than 10 out of 10, I would.